customers, serving your customers. It's a pleasure to speak to you. My name is Janice B. Gordon, and I've been a mentor for the Sherry Blair family. Hello?
Sorry to
Hello?
cut across you. Hi Janice, it's Lucy here. We're just gonna do a bit of tech testing and just check everyone can hear just before you jump in. Is that okay?
You then tell me when to start, okay?
Perfect. Great. So hello and welcome everyone. Before we get started, I'd like to just check that everyone can hear me. So if you can hear me, can you please type in the chat bar that should be on the left-hand side of your screen, just to make sure that that everyone can hear. Great. Seems like it's working. So if you do experience any sound difficulties, just type in the chat bar and we'll try to fix those. So I'll just go over a few more technical tips before we start. If you're joining us online, if you're having any problems with the sound, try logging out and then logging back in again. We also recommend using a wired internet connection rather than Wi-Fi if possible, and to close any other open browser windows so you only have the webinar open. If you're joining us online, you'll see the chat bar on the left side of the screen. You can post questions and comments in the chat bar to the left throughout the webinar and during our Q&A segment. Some people are also joining us by phone. If you find that your internet connection makes it hard to watch, you can also dial in by phone. The numbers are available via the registration link. The webinar will also be recorded and posted on the platform, so if you like, you can watch it again at a later date. With that, I'd like to begin by saying hello to all of you joining us today. We're delighted to have Janice B. Gordon here to present today's webinar on improving sales and customer service. In this webinar, Janice will provide advice and insight about the essentials of good customer service, finding sales leads, market research and planning, sales management and techniques, and customer retention. Janice has been a mentor with the program for 5 years and is currently mentoring Hang Nguyen T from Vietnam. She's a consultant, trainer, business mentor, and speaker who helps her clients get to the next level. She's a visiting fellow at Cranfield School of Management, specializing in key account relationship building, and worked with a customer experience consultancy, giving her the expertise in creating and sharing great customer experiences. Welcome, Janice, and I'll hand over to you now.
Oh, hello, welcome to everybody. It's an absolute pleasure to speak to you all. There's something strange that happened on my screen there, so I've cleared that. Yes, I'm here, and it's an absolute pleasure. My name is Janice B. Gordon. I've been mentoring for the Sherry Blair Foundation for about 5 years now, so I've done a few webinars, and this one about serving your customers. The thing that I want you all to kind of walk away with after this presentation is really, it's about knowing and understanding your customers. If you know what they want, then you're better able to serve them. How you serve them, the customer very much dictates that, how they like to be served, through what channels, what distribution channels. Now, I know there's many of you, and I can see your names, and you're putting in where you're from: Nigeria, Serbia, Croatia, South Africa. It's absolutely wonderful to be speaking to so many people from across the globe. But all of your businesses are different and uniquely different. And do you know what's different about your business? You're the thing that's different about your business. And the reason why customers come to your business, yes, you have nice products and services, they come because of you. So it's really important that you put your personality into your business, into the way you serve your customer. That's what they engage with. That's why they keep coming back to you. And so even if you have an online business, it's really important to have a personality behind it, to be real, to actually personally answer some of the messages and let them know that you're there at the other end of the computer. So being personable with your business throughout your service is really important to engage your customers. But let me first give you some information about me. I worked with a customer experience consultancy, And we worked through customer journeys, customer experience, and I interviewed hundreds and hundreds of customers from different 4 different companies. So whether it was in pharmaceuticals, or whether it was in food, or whether it was a service for a consultancy, I interviewed customers to find out their views and opinions about the products and the services, about the engagement that they had with the particular companies. So, you know, I've got a bit of insight here about customers. And I also, in the business, my business, I consult with medium, small and large companies. And the one thing that's very clear and that we forget is that we are our own business. We are the people. Us personally is whether you're employing people, or so it's through your employees, or whether you're working directly with customers, it's us that people engage with, our personality, our unique character. The more engaged your customers are with you, with what you do, who you are, the more likely they're likely to come back and buy from you and use your service. So this is the insight that I've gained in all of the work that I've done, you know, being a visiting fellow of Cranfield School of Management, working with small businesses through my company. I also work with the European Bank of Reconstruction and go out and train consultants. So I'm really glad to be on this call to you today and to be working with you to help you to serve your customers better. So I've written a book, Business Evolution, Creating Growth in a Rapidly Changing World. And the reason why I bring this up is that all of that experience I've put into this book, and it was essentially through when I ran a restaurant and bar, and the experiences I had with the customer engagement and serving the customers and the things that worked there. I mean, the things didn't always go right, but a lot of those insights I put into the book. So the premise I always come from is that you're a business of one, and your customers are the most important aspect to your business. So you've really got to be customer focused. You've really got to be clear about serving your customers and how you're going to serve your customers. So I really hope that you are able to gain some real insight that's going to help you to change your business here. I also did a TEDx talk as well, so you can find that online. And again, it talks about, you know, what's unique and different about you and why people engage with that. So customer service, really important to serve your customer, to develop trust with your customer. So your customers like you. All of these words here on this screen are really, really important. The key to good customer service is really about building good relationships. And this, again, comes back to you being personable, people knowing, liking, and trusting you. It's relationships with your customers. So it's about thanking your customers, promoting positivity in your organization, thanking your employees, because your employees work with your customers. So the way you want your employees to treat your customers is the way you should be treating your employees. So it goes throughout your organization, your company, or the whole experience that you give off. It's important to be helpful and friendly and create that in your environment, because it will rub off in everyone that you touch, whether it's your employees or your customers. The reason why I talk about your employees, if you have employees, is really important, because they are your customers, and your employees, your customers, are your employees' customers. So if you think about it like that, you have to really think about how you treat your employees, because you want your employees to treat your customers in the same way. That's why they're important anyway, but that's one reason why they're important in customer service. So a happy customer will return to you often, and they'll likely promote you to other people. They'll talk about how good you are, and they'll bring more customers to you. So word of mouth is the best way of growing your business. This is why customers and customer service is so important. Today, serving your customer is linked to providing a personal service. And it's really the first stage of segmenting your customers into profiles. So if you have, work with a variety of customers, it's really important to understand that not all customers are the same. They all have different needs. They have different wants. So when I talk about segmentating, what I'm talking about is dividing your customers into groups that make sense, that sit together. So it may be that, you know, if you other businesses, it may be within a certain location. That's the thing that you can group them together. It may be the size of the company. It may be what you sell to that company. So you can group your business relationships, your other companies. If it's with customers, again, you might deal with a whole variety of customers. So it's important to group them, to segment them as well into what their preferences might be, the kind of relationship. Are they a customer that comes to you, they buy little and often? Or is it the type of customer that bulk buys? Is it the type of customer that buys more premium products? You know, what is the character of those customers? Group them all together. Then what I want you to do, I want you to talk to your customers, and not about selling to them. This is really understanding what their needs are. How can you serve your customers well unless you really understand what they want? How do you understand what they want? You ask them. So once you've grouped the customers, you might only pick one or two people within the group and then take them out, you know, or book a time with them, or call them, or email them a questionnaire, give them a gift for completing the questionnaire, but gather information from them. Ask them how happy they are with your service. Ask them what more that you can do. Ask them if they actually go other places for a similar type of service. Why do they do that? These are the questions. You really want to understand the relationship the customer has with you. You know the relationship you have with that customer, but you don't know the relationship the customer has with you. So it's really important for you to get that kind of feedback to ask your customer. And you don't do it in a scattergun way. You group them first, segment your customers, and then you pick one or two of them, and you then interview them, whether it's, as I say, by survey or ringing them up or having a meeting with them. Find out as much as possible about the relationship they have with you, that they have with their competitors, and what more you can do. They will love you for that because you're putting them at the center. You're introducing and saying how important you are to me and my business. I want to find out how I can do better for you and what more I can do. I'd like to have a meeting with you. I'd love you to fill out this questionnaire. So it's really important to segment your customers into profiles so that you can really understand the relationship. Once you understand the relationship, you can then serve them better. So I'm going to talk more about serving your customers better, but it's really about understanding your customer. So this is Steve Jobs, and he said, get closer than ever to your customer. And it's really important now because it's so competitive out there, so that you'll tell them what they need before they even realize it. This is about anticipating your customers' needs. Anticipating, you think, well, how do I know what they want before they even know it? This is because you're on the same path as your customer. This is because you've interviewed them. You're actually really tracking what they're doing, how the relationships they have with your employees, you know, who they favor to talk to, how much they buy, how often, is it seasonal? Because you have an open dialogue with them, you might send them a thank you note after they've purchased something. You're getting a lot closer to the customer. If you say to your customer, if there's anything I can do, or if there's any problems, please come back to me. When they come back with a problem, you find out more information about them. I love, hopefully I'm not talking too fast, but I'm really excited about this subject. But I love customer complaints, and you must think I'm crazy. I absolutely love customer complaints. The reason for that is that people deal with complaints, they don't deal with it very well, in that they take it personally. A complaint is an opportunity. It is an opportunity to gather more information from that customer. When someone is unhappy, they're more likely to let loose. When they let loose, they give you more information. So you really want them to feel relaxed and comfortable about telling you how it is, because you can find out real gold. You also want to make sure you put whatever went wrong right. You want to report back to that customer, and you want to give them a gift, thanking them for giving you the valuable information. And you want to tell them, if there's anything else that happens, please come back to me, I'll deal with it immediately. And they trust you, because you've dealt with the first thing immediately and you've put it right, and they're much happier. Do you know what? You can win more customers by correcting problems than just by normal service. It's because you're a lot closer to them. It's an opportunity. And it enables you to know and understand your customer. Then you can ask more questions and understand more about their lifestyle. At those points, you can start to think, I think there's something else I can do that's going to please them. I think there's something else that you can do that that you can do for your customer. And then you can pick up the phone or email them and ask them, if I was to do this, would you be interested in this? They're either going to say yes or no, or give you an, why might that be? These are the kinds of open conversations you need to have. Serving isn't just about a transaction. It's not just about selling. It's really about building a close relationship with your customer. Then you never have to sell, because your customer always wants to buy. They always want to buy from you because of the relationship they have with you. I hope you really understand that. It's all about building a relationship, whether it's directly with your customer, with your employees, or with the other businesses that you work with. So it's about giving your customers what they really want, and it's about understanding what they really want. And you can only do that by asking them what they really want. It's really about gaining your customers' perspective of the world, their wants and their needs. There's a difference between wants and needs as well, because you ask customers what they want, but it isn't necessarily what they need. What they need is what you provide. So, I want a flashy car, but actually what I need is something to get me from A to B. If I have, high aspirations and that my budget allows, then I'll get the flashy car. It still takes me from A to B. But actually, at the end of the day, a non-flashy car will take me from A to B. It serves my needs. So there's difference between what I want and what I need. It's important that you serve the needs and not do the wants until the needs have been served. You need to distinguish between the two. And it's almost like having a hygiene factor, the must-have, the thing that takes me from A to B. And then it's having the things that motivate us and that we aspire to. These are our wants, these are our dreams. We may not necessarily have them, but it's important to have the wants, the dreams. But what we need to have to get from A to B, the day-to-day, are the needs. So you have to deal with the needs first, and then you can aspire to the wants. I hope you understand that. There is a difference in customer wants and their needs. You need to find out what their wants are, but you also need to find out what they really, really need. And that's what you deal with first. Excellent. So understanding your customer is the secret to selling. As I say, it builds the relationship. You start to anticipate really what they want and what they need. Existing customers are important. The reason why they're really important is because it costs you 10 times more. I think it's 7, but it's nearer 10 times more to actually get a new customer than it is to actually grow your relationship with your existing customers, so they continue to buy, but they might actually buy, you might be able to upsell them to buy more premium products, or they might start to buy more, or better still, they bring more customers to you. So it costs so much more. So you really want to look after your existing customers. So when I talk about creating a customer profile so you can understand them, it's really about how you describe your customer. The information you need to collect are things like, the type of business. If you sell to an individual customer, you want to perhaps understand their age, their gender, where they're located, what are their spending habits and their income. So, these are the things about describing your customer and why it's really important. But, locate your customer where they hang out. What I mean by this is, if you're looking to sell and market to a customer, there's no point advertising. Not that I'm, advertising is quite an old-fashioned thing to do, but it's still relevant for certain industries. But if you're advertising, there's no point advertising in the wrong paper where your customers don't read. So what I mean about hanging out, you need to understand really their lifestyle, their habits, what they read, where they go. So if you're looking to make sure that your products in the space that they most often visit, read or hang out, then you need to understand where that is. So locating where your customer hangs out is really important to make sure that you're putting your marketing in the right place so your customer sees it, likes it, and enjoys the experience. But it's also about understanding the needs and benefits that make the customer purchase. I've just done a blog on my website about understanding the values, and it's not your values, it's the values that your customer really enjoys. What are their values? When you understand their values, what's important to them, then you can more easily target the things that are important to them. Because there's no point selling them on a feature or a benefit of your product or your service that they're not interested in. So when we're talking about really understanding and serving your customers, you've got to talk to them, not only in their language, but you've got to talk to them about things they're interested in. You've got to talk to them about things that they want, that they value, that are important to them. So serving your customers is all about really understanding your customers, not only how they interact with you, but really what their dreams are, what their wants are, understanding what they value, how much they value what you do. So, I really hope that you understand that interviewing your customer, finding out this information, finding out more about the dynamics of the customer is really, really important. So, sell the problem. It's not sell the problem you solve. This is really important to understand. Once you've interviewed the customer and you really understand what the problems are, then there's no point keep going on about the problems. It's really important to really look at how you can solve the problem. So serving your customer is about solving customers' problems and serving not all their problems, but the ones that they most value. This is why understanding what's important to them and what they value is really, really important. So this is a really, really good thing to understand. You sell the problem you solve. So the customer has a problem, you have a solution, you're selling the solution. Does that make sense? I hope it does. So once you understand your customer, you can sell the problem you solve, but you sell it in their language. So it's again about understanding, what aspect of it they value, which one troubles them most. Don't sell everything. Don't confuse the customer. Really pick the things that are most important, the most important solutions. But also, if you were to solve these things for the customer, what are the real benefits to the customer? So it's really important to understand that. Solving this enables them to do that. Solving that enables them to do this. Really, when you're talking to the customer, you really need to go a little bit further than just the surface level in understanding not only what's important to them, why it's important to them, and if it was solved, how much time would it save them? How much money would it save them? What would that solution mean to them? What is the real benefits of the solution? These are the things you need to be talking to your customer about, because they begin to think, yeah, you're right. It is, it's a bigger problem than I thought it was because it costs me more money, or it's really costing me time. You're really beginning to enable the customer to see the value of buying that product or service from you by really understanding the bits that are important. And almost it's like quantifying the bits that are important to that customer. But you've got to talk to them about it. It's no point having it in your head. You need to quantify it and then talk to the customer about it. This is how you can serve them better. This is why they'd come back to you, because they really feel you understand them better than anyone else. So they really want to work with you. They enjoy the relationship they have with you. Selling products is really not about the product. It's often about the service, the experience around that product. You need to understand what experience you offer, and then you need to sell the whole experience, not just the product or service, but the whole experience of working with you. So depending on the product you sell, it's important to really build the relationship and describe the problem and the degree of urgency, the cost, or the solution would, not only the cost it would cost them, but the cost of them not doing that. The cost of them not buying it is really important. That's a real motivator. You need to understand the cost of them not solving the problem. If you can quantify that, then you need to communicate it to the customer. So I hope that's clear. So a face-to-face customer meeting, it's really easy to build relationships there. You can read their body language, but with a phone and now we've got Skype, you can see me here. You can really kind of like start to engage with people so much more. So where possible, like use the visual tools that you have available. Even in your marketing, it's really important to have visual tools as well for them to really understand more about your business. Because you have a business, you have a profile, you have a personal profile, the way that you kind of turn up every day, that's part of the experience of buying the product and service. So make sure that you're consistent with that, so that customers always know the kind of quality, they know what to expect from you. So, it's really about building the relationship. It's really about understanding the solution that will solve the problem and selling the solution to solve the problem. So you solve your customers' problems quickly. This comes back to complaints. When customers complain, it's really important for you to understand that their complaint, them voicing their anger and complaint, is because they want you to solve it. It's nothing personal to you. They're really frustrated and they want to work with you. It's almost like a call for help. When people kind of tend to think, it's a complaint, I don't really want to deal with this, and turn away, it's a rejection to the customer. They feel rejected, so it's very difficult for them to come back to you again. Actually, when you embrace them and you say, come in, sit down, I really understand your situation, tell me, I want to, do better, then they don't feel rejected. They actually feel comforted. They feel that they've been listened to. We all want to be listened to. So in serving your customer, stuff happens. It doesn't always go well. Make sure you embrace your customers' problems and make sure that you solve them properly. Don't have the attitude of, this is not my job, it's not my responsibility. If you have to pass it on to somebody else who is able to solve that problem, make sure you follow up with the person and with the customer. Don't let it go. This is often where things fall through the gaps. Make sure you feel a responsibility directly to that customer, even if it isn't your problem. Go the extra mile. Follow up a month or so later and ask the customer, are they happy? Is it all resolved now? So the customer feels that they are at the center of your organization. So the customer feels that they're really important. I want to talk to you about, building relationships. And this is pretty much a standard sales process, the funnel. And what happens is you get your contacts, your leads. You might pick up a business card or get names and addresses from people. They become suspects when someone has spoken to you and that there is something that is familiar, but in the relationship, that there might be a possibility that there's an indication where they might be interested. So they then become prospects when there's been a confirmed interest, where the conversation's gone a little bit further. You've introduced them to what you do and your products and service, and they've expressed some interest. And it may be that, you know, you've booked another meeting, there is a follow-on. That's when they become a prospect. So you've promised that you'll speak again in a month, or they're coming back into your shop. That's when they're a prospect. And then opportunities are when the prospect has been verified, that they've done a test drive of the product, that they've had a sample. It gives you an opportunity to follow up. You understand that they have a budget to purchase your product or service, so you know it's an opportunity there. So they've test drive what you've got, and they've got a budget for it. So it's two things, you just need to connect them up. That's when they become an opportunity. And actually, the revenue's only there when the revenue's there. I know a lot of people will perhaps, you know, sign a contract or have a verbal agreement, and they've already spent the money. Well, that is not revenue. It's only revenue when it hits your account. So this is a really important stage, when an opportunity becomes a revenue, because it can fall out. Don't assume that, you know, when someone has made a commitment, that you've really got to continue to follow up to make sure that it happens. And this is about, the following up isn't about putting pressure to buy or to sell the product. The follow up is about building the relationship. It's about asking them questions, open questions, finding out if, how things are in their world, really understanding the pressures that they're under. Maybe that's delaying the job getting started. So it's important, when an opportunity is really an opportunity, that you don't drop the ball at that point, that you continue to follow up and nurture them. The reason why I've got this spiral here is because relationships are very fluid. You know, it's nice to see that funnel there, but, you know, some people may go from prospect back to suspect, or from opportunity back to prospect. You know, so the funnel, you know, it moves one way and then it stops, and it moves back a little bit and then it continues to go down. So, you know, these selling can often take a lot longer than you expect to land, because it is very fluid. You always have to remember there's things going on in their world. They have different pressures. You know, family stops them from making decisions and things. So that's why you have to remember it's very fluid, and be patient. It's not going to happen in your time, it will happen in the customer's time. And so you must make sure that you don't put pressure on because you want something to happen in your time. You must build the relationship and understand that things will happen in your customer's time. You can lose a lot of sales by actually putting pressure on at the wrong time, putting pressure on because you're really keen to get it done, but actually there's things going on in the customer's world. So I really want you to understand that the relationship is very, very fluid. So here, this is about, you know, where the leads become real opportunities, where you get them from. And you can see from this slide, there are hundreds and hundreds of ways to build your business. Hundreds of ways to build your business. Some of you may be using some of these distribution methods, tools to actually get the word out about your products and service, and you know, generate leads and opportunities through some of these mechanisms. You know, I'm on a webinar now. I've got another webinar tomorrow evening because I have an online course, and so I give the people, before I sell them the course, I give them a sample so that I educate them. You know, so education is really important in building up relationships and selling and servicing your customer. So, you know, webinars are a good way to do it. So you can do a webinar before they become a customer, but do a webinar while they're customers as well. Help to educate them. And it may be a way of upselling them into a more premium product, or reminding them how good you are, what knowledge that you have, so that they will actually buy more from you. Content marketing is about blogs. Like I mentioned, a blog that I did on Monday. I do a blog every week, and this gives my people on my database, my customers, it gives them knowledge. I share knowledge, insights, experiences with them, and so I'm educating them, and so that they then look on me more as an expert or someone that really has knowledge in their in the field. They then want to work with more knowledgeable people, and then they're more likely to work with me. But the other thing that content marketing does, it keeps you at the forefront of their mind. So you might think, oh, I'm sending out all of this information, no one reads it. Well, you don't know who reads it. But I always find that when I go out networking, someone will come up to me and say, oh, I read your blog, it was really good. And it was a blog that was about 3 months ago when I asked them which one it was. So there are people out there that's reading your material, and it helps them to, like drip feed, build up relationships with you, and reminds them that you still exist. So when they are ready to buy, you're still on the forefront of their mind. Referral systems. Often we do great work and we forget to ask for referrals. It's really important that you do. And there's ways that you ask for referrals. When you might introduce yourself and you'll say, the way that I grow my business is that my clients are so happy that they refer other clients to me. You might do that as part of your introduction. So you just drop it in there along with everything else that you do. So it's no big deal. And you're just introducing to the fact that you expect them to refer, and you're not putting any pressure on them at all. Or it could be, I went out to the Professional Speakers Association. I'm one of their speakers. And a speaker from Florida has emailed me and said, can you give me a referral on LinkedIn of my presentation? I'm happy to do that. I want to build relationships with this person in Florida. So when I go to America, I can ring him up and I can say, I want to speak to this group of people. Will you introduce me? He'll say, yes, I'm absolutely happy to do a referral for him. So you can see how all of these things, it's about building relationships. So asking for referrals, you have to have it as part of your business system. So whether, as I say, at the beginning, or, you know, whether it's something you've delivered at the end, but, you know, you've got to do it all the time and not drop the ball on this, because especially it may be in the middle of a relationship or a product or a service offering. Someone says, I'm really happy, you know, this is working brilliantly, I absolutely love it. Bang. That's the time to ask them for a referral. Make it easy for them. Record their words, email it back to them and say, you said this to me. Would you be happy for me to use this as a referral? Because people are very busy. If you wait and wait and wait for them to write it, and they may not write it in the way that you want it. So actually make it easy for them. Write it for them and tell them you're happy if they change anything, but often they don't change it. They might change one or two things because they haven't got time and it's well written. So I've talked about word of mouth. Telemarketing, you might do that yourself, have your employees that ring up a list of people. You might buy a list and, you know, sell to them, do email marketing with them through networking events. Yeah, I've mentioned emails that I send out. Going to exhibitions, I've done exhibitions before. You've got to have a system with exhibitions. Contact people before the exhibition, let people know, have a whole kind of marketing program to inform people you're going to be at this exhibition, please come and visit. And also, you know, if you're speaking at the exhibition, then make sure you've got some giveaways so that you can get the email addresses. You want a system to collect as many business cards and email addresses from the trade show or exhibition so that you can do email marketing to them after the event. An exhibition is just an opportunity to collect data. That's what it is. So you've got to have a system, a way of collecting data so that you can contact people afterwards. Don't wait for people to contact you. You've got to be proactive. When I had a restaurant and bar, I had it was a postcard and it was a lovely picture, and on the back was a postcard so they could use it. So this was dropped in an area where people were wealthier and more likely. So I did looked at the customer profile of my customers. I looked where they lived in this area, and we dropped these postcards into the letterbox. And because it was a lovely picture and because it was a postcard, people kept it because they think, I might need that later to send a postcard to a friend. This is really pretty, I'll use that. But it's because they don't throw it away and they keep it that it reminded them to come to the restaurant. So a lot of people said, actually, it was that postcard that you dropped through the door, that was their first visit to us. So leaflet drops can be really useful, but it might be an opportunity to educate them. They'll keep it so that it will remind them to come to your business, because often we get so much stuff and we often throw it away and we lose it. So make it useful to your customers. I won't go through the list on the right, but there's so many ways for you to generate contacts. And I wanted to give you some from my own experience to actually help you to understand how I use many of these tools myself. So again, it's all about developing relationships, looking for opportunities to gather as much data on your customers, on potential customers as possible. Get their email addresses so you can email market them, but also pick up the phone. When I was in my restaurant business, I would, when I had a special offer on, or we were putting a jazz band on or something, I used to ring up people and say, look, you came to the last one, you may not know we're putting on another one, I'd love to see you. I got a lot of customers repeat business from actually just ringing them. Don't be afraid to pick up the phone, have something to offer that's of value to the customer. So I know we're kind of like time's moving on. So we've only got a few more slides to go. So get ready with your questions. So how can I solve my customer's problem? This is really it's all about them and it's not about you. I know you've spent a lot of time developing your business and it's really important to you and you want everything done in a certain way, but it's only important to do things that your customers value. It's not important to do things that you like. It's not about you, it's about your customer. If you want to grow your business, if you want to serve your customer better, you really have to have your business as an opportunity to serve your customer better, to build up a relationship so that you can sell more to them. So your business is really not about you. Your business is about your customer. Your business is about building up a relationship with your customer. Your business is about solving your customer's problems. And so if you spend a lot of money in areas that are not of value to your customer, then, it's a waste of money. Everything has to be aligned in your business to serving your customer better, to building up a relationship, to giving them a great experience of your business. So there's no point having things in your business that are not important to your customer. This is how businesses fail, because they forget to put the customer at the center of their business. So when we're talking about selling and building a relationship, you've got such a wide variety of businesses. I talked in the last slide about some of the ways that you can generate leads in your business, but then you really need to go through, they become a lead, a suspect, a prospect. You need to go through that funnel. You need to build up the relationship and get closer to the customer and really understand what their needs are, and you need to interview them. This is how you're able to sell more to your customer. This is how you're able to serve them better. So it's understanding their needs. It's about gaining feedback, asking them the right questions, asking them open questions, getting as much information from the customer as possible. So it's important to do research, listen. You can't listen enough. Customer research is about asking open questions and listening. I saw this quote about, do you ask questions to I can't remember the quote now. It's about questioning to listen rather than questioning to ask. That's what it is. So often, when you speak to people and they're just, as soon as they're asking a question, but they're actually only listening to ask another question, rather than really listening to the customer. The customer knows you have listened to them when you start to use their words. So when they answer the question, ask another question based on their answer, not based on your list of questions. So that they think, oh gosh, this person's really listening to me. They're then going to give you more and more and more information. So make sure you hone your listening skills. You've got two of these and one of those, so make sure you use them. Listen, listen, listen to your customer. You find out so much information. I've won so much business by listening to my customer and really understanding their perspective. So this is about interviewing them. This is about doing customer surveys. If you do this, you're able to serve your customer better. You're able to sell more to them. You're able to build up a relationship. You're able to gain trust because they feel that you're one of them. You're using their words, their language. You're listening to them. That it's lovely to be, it's an honor to be listened to. That's what we all want in the world, to be listened to. So make sure you listen to your customer. If you listen to your customer, you're able to serve your customer better. You're able to sell more to them. You're able to build up a relationship. There are lots of social listening tools as well. I'm on Twitter. You can see above my head here my Twitter. And there are my potential customers are on Twitter, they're on Facebook, they're on LinkedIn, and they're posting things all the time. In with that, if I complain about something or I've had a bad day, there's an opportunity there for someone that might be able to solve a problem I've got. So actually, when your customers or your profile of customers are posting things, then it's an opportunity for you to give them information, for you to attract them to your business. And it's not about selling, it's about saying, well, have you thought of this? Or recommending, something that might be useful based on the comment that they've made, or saying that, sharing your experience similar to them. They will then look you up. So it attracts them to you. So this is one way of listening out for opportunities to attract more people to you, by giving people information, offering them valuable information and insight based on the comments. So this, you've listened to what they've said, and then you're offering them something useful. Another way of researching is, I don't know if you know SWOTs, strengths, opportunities, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. This is a way of analysing your customers, whether a business or a consumer, really understanding what is the strengths in the relationship, what are the weaknesses, how can you, when you're interviewing them, you can get to understand what they think are your weaknesses by asking them, where are the real opportunities, maybe asking them questions about their, your competitors or what else they do, and the threats as well. This is, it could be economic threats, people are lose their jobs, or if there's a downsizing in their industry, that's going to affect how much money they have to actually spend with you. So it's really about understanding those things. So you might look to the environmental factors. There's also PESTLE as well, which stands for political, economic, social, technical, legal, and environmental. It's important. Maybe any one of those areas might affect your business. So it's really important for you to understand what's happening in the macroeconomic world and how that may affect your customers, and so how it may affect your business. So it's about understanding that. You can be asking your customers about these areas and how it is affecting their business and how it's affecting them, and then you gain a better understanding about how it will affect your business as well. Okay, so designing your best customer's journey. This is about understanding, I'm going to run through this quickly because I want you to ask some questions. So this is about a process of getting your customers, understanding your customer's journey, where it started, what process they went to, how did they find you, how did they experience the first contact, why didn't they buy in the first contact, how did they come back to you a second time, what was the problem, was the problem different to the first time, what did they buy the first time, the third time they came to you, why did they buy more, did someone upsell them, was it a conversation? understanding the journey that the customer has with you and the experience the customer has with you. You can do this by interviewing them. You can do it by actually going through the journey yourself, so that from the very beginning, where you might pick up the phone or go onto the website and order something, do the same interactions yourself and understand where there might be blockages in your service that you're offering your customer, where there might be opportunities in your service. There's certain more things you can do and make it easier or simpler for your customer. So this is a great way of actually really understanding how you can better serve your customer, by really understanding the process and the journey that your customer goes through. It may be that, you know, your customers need warranties or other options, but having an understanding of the journey will actually enable you to design other things, other services along with your products that are important to your customer. Because it may be a lot of customers don't buy from you because you don't have a warranty, you know, or more customers buy from you because you do have a warranty, and maybe that may be one of the things that you lead with and sell with. So whatever it may be, because you're in a variety of businesses, understanding your customer journey makes it easier for you to attract more customers to you. So then this is about keeping your customers happy. The happier your customers are, the more they come to you, the more they refer to you. So it's really about understanding what makes your customers happy. By asking them what makes them happy, you're able to serve them better, you're able to sell more to them, you're able to design a product around that segment of customers that like a particular aspect. So there may be a modification of your product or service for a group of customers because it's a valuable group of customers and you want to grow that group of customers and you can make more money from that group of customer. You can only do that if you understand that group of customer. So it's about building your relationship to keep them happy, finding out what makes them happy, serving your customers better and offering better service to your customer, and doing things that your customer values. It's their perspective, it's not yours, that's important. So I hope this has been really useful to you about understanding how to serve your customer better. It's about building the relationship. It's about understanding that it's a fluid relationship that you're going to build, but you've got to move them down the funnel. That, you know, looking at all of the different ways that you can generate more leads, but you've got to make sure that you build the relationship. The relationship you have with your employees is really important because they have a relationship with your customers. So it's about building the type of happy business where not only your employees want to be, but your customers want to be. So any questions? Thank you very much for that. Hopefully it's been useful, and I'd love to get some of your questions.
Hi, Janice. I'm just going to jump in. This is Eleanor. So we've been taking down some of the questions that have come up in the chat bar. So I'm happy to read them out and you can provide answers if that works for you.
Yes, no problem.
Great. So the first question comes from Kisa, who's in Tanzania, and she's asked if you can expand more on content marketing.
Content marketing. Content marketing is a way of attracting customers by giving them the kind of content that they want. What I mean by content can be a written article, like a blog. It can be a ebook. It can be a checklist. It doesn't really matter what it is, but it's generally a written. It could be infographics. That gets a good response. So once you've found out that the customer has a particular need or a problem that needs solving, it may be that you have a solution to it, but it may be there's a certain checklist that they need to go through, or there may be some kind of an educational aspect of it that you can give your customer. You then send that to the customer, or you put it in the space where there is the segment of your customers. That's about understanding where they hang out. So it may be there, let's say there was lots of customers on a particular website, I'm trying to think. Let's say there's lots of customers in Sherry Blair Foundation, lots of your customers. And so you have a particular expertise. It may be that you write an article, you post the article on the Sherry Blair Foundation site, and that will attract customers to think, oh, this person really knows what they're talking about. I will then look them up. You've got to make sure when your people look you up that they can find you. So if you've got a Twitter account, you have your email, your website, and on your website you have a telephone number and your email address. On your LinkedIn or your Facebook, you've got to be easily contactable, because it's all very well putting content, blogs and material out there and putting it in front of your segment of customers. But if they then can't contact you thereafter because they want to follow up on it, it's important to put call to actions on things. So I've just done a blog and I put, I'd love to hear your comments, you know, have you experienced this? So that gives them an opportunity to comment and you can follow up on them. If you put something on LinkedIn, Facebook, you can see if people have already have commented. You can then follow up, click in and make sure that you're following them, they're following you, that you can then continue the conversation offline. So that's what I mean about content, putting content in front of the people where they're going to hang out.
Great, thanks Janice. I think that's really provided some great additional information for Kissa. The next question is from Benedicta in Kenya, and she's asked, what methods can I use to find out where my customers spend time or are located without appearing intrusive?
Right, okay, ask them. Ask them. You know, this is, you get so much information. You've got to have a relationship with the customer. You could say, I'm looking to do X, Y, and Z, and so where would you invite more great people like you? You know, a question like that will say, well, they'd start thinking and supporting. And, you know, like if you say that you're thinking of putting on a fashion show somewhere and I want more great people with you, you know, where would I find them? Or I'm thinking of, you know, putting together an ebook and I'd like to send to more great people like you. Where would, you know, ask them. That's the best way of finding out. But you've got to, it's not about asking any customer. This is why segmentation is really important. So you have different profiles of customers. And so when you ask one customer in a profile, whatever they may answer will not be the same answer to another customer in a different profile, because they've got different wants and they've got different needs. So they're going to hang out differently. They have different values. So, you know, the only way to really find out where people hang out, what they read, you know, what they enjoy is really to ask them. So segment your customers and then be brave. Do a survey, or better still, ask them the question face to face. Find a few that you've really got a good relationship with, and they're the ones to start with.
Great, thanks for that answer there. We've got a question from Rita in Costa Rica, who's asked, what other resources can you recommend to expand on the topics covered today?
There's so many resources. Amazon's got I mean, there are so many books and out there. Serving your customers. Do you know what I would do? Blogs. I find blogs really useful. The thing with books is that by the time they are published, they already start to be out of date. The subject starts to move on. I would literally just research blogs. So just put the question in. Put, you know, like keeping my customers happy. You've got a title here. Put that in Google. See what articles come up. Start reading the articles. So that's what, if I have a question or I'm researching something, Mr. Google is the first place that I go, and I read around the subject and find out more about it. Then you might find one or two experts or people that publish a lot on this particular subject. Then you start to follow them.
Great, and I think if anyone else has suggestions for useful resources that they've used in the past, perhaps posting them on the forum as well would be a great idea. I'm sharing resources there. So we just have time for a couple more questions. I've got one from Esther, who's asked, how do you deal with irate customers?
Oh, I love irate customers. I love irate customers. Kill them with kindness. Love your irate customers. They are irate because they're frustrated. And think of yourself when you're really frustrated, and what happens, you feel you're not being listened to, you feel no one cares about you, so just put yourself in that situation, like when you felt like that, it makes you really angry. And you're not necessarily angry the person in front of you, but often the person in front of you is the one that gets the anger. So the thing is not to be patronizing, but to actually really listen to them, get them to let loose, let them talk, let them tell you, and indicate that you're interested to hear what they have to say. Because there's nothing that frustrates people more than feeling that no one's listening to them. So actually be the person that finally listens to them. And then comment, let them, once they've worked off a head of steam a little bit, then start asking them questions, and they think, oh gosh, this person really is interested in listening to me. Ask them relevant questions. You said this, what would be a better way of doing this, or how could it be improved? There's always going to be some customers that just like to, the sound of their own voice, but you'll often find customers think, well, they should have done it this way, they should have done this. And you write it down, let them know that you're making a note of this, and tell them, this is really valuable information, I really appreciate this. Okay, how can we make this better? How can I put this right? What can I do? And be honest with them. Tell them that I can do this bit, but I can't do that bit. But and recommend where they go for that. But if it's another company, if it's all your company's responsibility, then say, look, give me your details. I'm going to follow up, and go back to them and say, this is what you've done. And go back to them a week later and chase up what's been done, and go back to them and say, look, this is what's happened. This is where the delays are. This is what we're doing. The more you go back to them and keep them informed so they don't feel they've been forgotten, the more they think, well, this person really cares. You will create a situation where you've had an irate customer that then builds a relationship with you, and then becomes a happy customer, and then recommends other people because you've listened to them.
Great, thanks so much for those answers, Janice. I think we've just run out of time, but any additional questions that came out of the chat, I would encourage everyone to post them on the forum, and perhaps Janice, you can get involved in the conversation, and everyone else can sort of pitch in with their advice and tips on the questions that are asked. So I just wanted to thank you for a fantastic webinar. It's really sort of highlighted the importance of developing a relationship with your customers and getting to know who they are and what they want and what you can do for them, and that there are such a wide varieties of ways to do that. So I know that that's really going to help the mentees and mentors who are listening to the webinar. So our next webinar, just to flag that, is on product development and innovation on the 15th of March. So do keep an eye out for the invitation on the forum, and we'd love to have you join us for that as well. Janice, did you have any final remarks that you wanted to make?
No, that's fine.
Great. Well, thank you so much again, and thank you everyone for joining and participating in the chat bar. It's so lovely to see everyone communicating and asking questions. And I really invite everyone to continue those conversations on the forum. And we'll see you all next time.
All right, bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.